Hola, mi clase. We are doing 14.2, super short unit. This is it. And then we just practice until our test. So we're going to start making trend lines and then use them to make predictions. So a trend line is a straight line to make a prediction from a scatter plot. That's why we've been using warm-ups to practice finding slope and y-intercept. So it says a scatter plot and trend line show the relationship between the number of chapters and the total number of pages for several books. Write an equation for the trend line. So to start with, we are given a trend line, right? So they gave us this trend line. And so we can find the y-intercept using their trend line. So the b or the y-intercept will be 0. And then what we do is we want to use points that are actually on our line or very, very close to our line. So they are crossing through these 2 points. They are directly in the middle. So this is at 2, 4, 6. So this will be at 5, and then 20, 40, 60, so 50. So this one's at 5, 50. And then we have this one at, so that'd be 17, comma, 70, or 170. So we would then find the slope using our points. So we're going to go 170, take away 50, over 17, take away 5, just like we've been doing on our warm-ups. So 170, take away 50 is what, 120? Just using my calculator to check. And then 17, take away 5 would get us 12. And we would then reduce this fraction, and we would get 10. So there's our slope, and we have our y-intercept. And so then we would write our equation, and we would get y equals 10x. We do not have to put plus 0 because the y-intercept being 0 means b is 0, and we don't really add 0. So there it is. That's it. We're done. Just like we practiced. So it's really nice that they gave us these trend lines so that you don't have to worry about that. So here's our y-intercept again, 0, 0. Now this time, I'm going to use this point. It's very, very close to my trend line, and use it against my y-intercept. You can see I don't have any other lines that are, or dots that are really close. So when we use our trend lines, we always want to use dots that are on them or very, very close to being on them. So this point is at 3, 3. So slope again, 3 minus 0 over 3 minus 0 would get us 3 over 3, which equals 1. And so that's our m, just like we've been practicing. And so we say y equals, and I'm just going to write x because we don't write the 1. So remember, these are just predictions. We know it's not going to be 100% true, but at least we know it'll get us close. So if I said, hey, it's rained for 12 days, we could then predict that it would, the number of umbrellas would be 12. That's kind of what the trend line is for, is just to make a prediction. It's not going to be exact, because if you notice, for 3 days, we actually had 2 dots, one at 3 and one at 1. And so when it rained for 3 days, one day it had 3 umbrellas and another day it only had 1. But it's just for a prediction, and it doesn't have to be exact, but it will be close. So you can see here for 5 days, the point is actually at 5. So our prediction equation worked. Okay, so again, it's just a prediction. It's not going to be exact. And true scatter plots should have, as I said in class, hundreds of data, as I always have. So we will sometimes have to draw our own line of best fit or trend line, okay? So you might hear it be called a trend line, and sometimes you might hear it be called a line of best fit. It means it's the line that best fits the data, or the trend line meaning the line that goes with the trend of the data. So it says, so first they want us to draw a line of best fit. So the goal of our trend line, or a line of best fit, is to get as many data points as we can on the line. And we really want our line, I'm actually going to make this line a little bit smaller. We really want our line to be kind of, in a sense, in the middle of our data. So I want an even number of data points to the left and the right of my line. I do not want it to have an uneven amount. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3 on this side. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. It might be a good idea to pull it down a little bit and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe I want to pull it down some more so that I have an even number of dots on either side, and then all I do is extend it until it kind of hits the y-axis. And there we go. So there would be kind of like a trend line. We also don't want our dots to be too far away. We want them to be pretty even. If I went like this actually could work as well. And we will all be really, really close. We will not all have perfect lines of trend lines. Okay, as long as we're close. This is how do you know whether your trend line is a good fit for your data? So I just explained that, is that it goes in the direction the data goes, right? So I'm going to type this up for us so that you can read my handwriting. Goes in the direction the data goes. So that's always a good thing to check. Even data points on either side of the line. Okay, so we want to check for that as well, is that there's an even number of data points, whoops, on either side of our line. Sorry, I gotta get rid of this. Actually, now I'm gonna get rid of this because, here we go. Because we want to make sure that we're not having too many outliers. Oh my gosh, I'm causing so many problems right now. We don't want to have an outlier. We don't want it to be too far away from our data, okay? Of course, my whole thing has shifted now from where it originally was, just causing issues. There we go. All right, so now we're going to write our equation. So I'm going to maybe use this dot and this dot. They're perfectly on corners, or pretty close. This one's almost on a corner. So I get my pen back. So this one looks like it's at, what, 4 4/10. So 4 4/10. This one is maybe at 15 and 1 4/10. Okay, so I'm going to subtract my 1 4/10 by my 4/10. I'm going to take 15 and subtract my 4. So 1 4/10, take away 4/10 is just 1, so that's really nice. I'm kind of out of room, but I'll put it here. And then 15 take away 4 is going to get us 10. So our slope is 1/10, okay? It says weight in ounces and price. Our y-intercept should be at 0, 0, because if I'm not buying anything, it makes sense that I don't have any, okay? And so we can say our equation is just y equals 1/10 x. Okay, again, it's just a prediction. It doesn't have to be exact, but we definitely have a good slope, and we know that the y-intercept needs to be 0, because if I don't have any weight, of course I'm not going to pay for anything. So this is where the equation comes in. This is similar to our warm-up question. It says use the equation for your trend line to interpolate the price of 7 ounces and extrapolate the price of 50 ounces. So we need to find the price for 7 ounces and 50 ounces, okay? So what we would do is we'd go y equals 1/10 times 7, and then we would do y equals 1/10 times 50. So either way, we need to figure out what those prices are. Let's not worry about the words interpolate and extrapolate right now. Let's just practice first finding what the price is at 7 ounces and 50 ounces. So if I take 7 times 1/10, we're just going to get 7/10. Okay, that's 7 over 10, and so that's the same, of course now my pen won't move, as 7/10. which makes sense because 4 was 4/10, right? Kind of the same idea. And then if we take 50 times a tenth and put it in my calculator, I'm going to get 50 over 10, which is going to get me 5. Okay? So our main goal is just to make these predictions. We're not too worried about extrapolate and interpolate. Those are not vocabulary terms we'll be using. So don't even worry about it. So I will explain what these words mean. Interpolate just means that it's a data point that would be inside my graph. Extrapolate just means that it's a data point that's outside my graph. Inter meaning inside, right? Extra, you could even think of it as it's way out here, right? Extrapolate, outside. Okay, so inter just means that it's a point that actually would appear here in our grid. And extrapolate just means that it's a point that would be out here that doesn't fit on our grid. Okay, we're making predictions for both. So here would be our predictions: 70 cents, right, and $5. But I don't want you to worry about those. We're still just making predictions. Okay, but I just thought I'd explain what those meant. All right, so things to remember are what is a trend line, how to write an equation, and making predictions. Okay, so your independent practice is going to be to draw a trend line first. It says write a trend line equation, but you have to draw the trend line first. And then you would need to write the equation. So I should see 2 things on here. I need to see a line drawn and then your equation. Okay. All right, adios until next time.